Hi everybody, welcome to episode 9 of Fangirl Hell. I'm Cosmic, lifelong nerd, aspiring genius, and currently eating toast at 1 p.m. As always, my co-host is...
Christy Lee Stewart, fisherman of fishermen. Okay, so this one's probably going to be pretty gender feminist like every other episode. So I think we should just stop saying it. Like, that's not going to be a warning anymore. You guys should just know that whatever we talk about is probably going to be about homophobia or sexism. We're only happy when we're mad.
Like that garbage song.
Yeah. God, what a great feminist group.
Fronted by a redhead Scottish woman.
All the better. Okay, so I want to talk about cartoons. So start with the cartoon.
I'm going first?
Yes?
Okay.
Cartoon, go.
Okay, I don't remember the specific dates, and I'm sleepy for reasons I won't go into, but I don't remember when this premiered. I think it was in late June, mid to late June.
In America?
In America, yeah. It had already been airing in Australia and
Australia.
Canada. And Canada.
Of course.
Yeah. There's this cartoon called SheZow. In the US it shows on this channel called The Hub, which is sort of like a family-friendly channel. They show a lot of like kids cartoons and like preteen aimed cartoons and stuff like that. So the basic premise of SheZow, I should preface this by saying I saw the premiere, which it's listed as a half-hour show, but it's really two 15-minute episodes bundled together. So I saw the premiere, and then I saw a couple weeks later, maybe like 5 minutes of the ending of an episode. So anything I say is basically going to be directed at the premiere to 15-minute episodes. But the basic premise is this family's moving into a new house that I guess used to belong to the two kids in the show. It was their aunt, so either their father or their mother's sister. And they find a ring in a vault, and the older sister immediately recognizes what it is. The brother doesn't, and he puts it on, and the older sister telling him, "Oh my gosh, that's SheZow's ring." That's, so apparently in this universe, SheZow was an already very famous, well-known superhero.
So is this supposed to be a play on Shazam?
I have no idea. I don't even know. The only Shazam I know is that crappy movie with Shaquille O'Neal in it from the 90s.
Well, there used to be an old cartoon that was a thing. Like there was a ring, and I don't remember because I was really young when I saw it,
Uh-huh.
and it was reruns of way before I was born. But
Yeah.
they'd be like Shazam, and there'd be a ring, and he'd appear.
Ah. Well, the ring doesn't make a person appear. It transforms you into SheZow. So if you have the
Okay.
ring on, and you say, if I'm remembering correctly, the key phrase is "You go, girl," or something like that, and it changes you into SheZow.
Well, actually, if I'm remembering correctly, I think that's what Shazam was too. You would put it on and yell Shazam, and you would turn into
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah. So the brother like doesn't believe his sister. He's like, "No, that's not what this is." Blah blah blah. And then he's sort of like mocking her, be like, "Oh yeah, I'm SheZow. You go, girl." And then he turns into SheZow, and the sister's really upset because she was like, "I wanted to be SheZow," you know. So basically, she becomes sort of like his go-to person to like brief him on SheZow's past, because he doesn't really know anything about SheZow, and then people that SheZow has interacted with are still alive, so they think it's still the same person, and it's not. You know?
Okay, this
Does that make
mythology
sense?
is weird. So Shizao was a real person and then she died, or her
Yeah,
spirit's in the ring?
yeah. The SheZow, the woman who was SheZow was their aunt, and she is no longer alive apparently.
Okay.
Um, and she left the ring I guess so that somebody else could take over her legacy after she was gone. And it just happened to be her nephew instead of her niece. And then, so the boy his name's Guy, which is, yeah, his name's Guy.
They're not going for subtlety, obviously.
No. He has a best friend who keeps trying to come up with a sidekick to be along with SheZow. So, and it's like really weird, stupid stuff. Like at one point, he dresses up like a mattress, and that's his sidekick outfit. At another point, I think he's like wrapped in meat, and that's his sidekick outfit. Like, so it's really, he's really failing at being a sidekick. So when I first read about this, I read a few articles, and they were saying, that this is very sort of like the fact that the main character has to change gender to be the superhero sort of hints at like, not that it hints at it, but like that there could be ties to,
misandry?
Not no. Like shaking up
transgender.
Shaking up gender roles, or transgenderism, transvestitism, whatever. But from the 2 episodes that I saw, I don't really see that. Because like a transgender or transsexual is someone who wants to be the other gender, or they other sex the other gender. And then like transvestite is somebody who's fine with their natural gender, but they just like dressing as the opposite gender. And for the character of Guy who turns into SheZow, there's nothing like that there. It's just like, okay, this is what I have to do to be a superhero, fine. Like,
so when he transforms, does he act differently than he does when he's...
Not really. He tries to like sort of put on a higher pitched voice, or I mean, granted, again, I only saw 2 15-minute episodes, so this may get addressed further in, I don't know. But from the 2 episodes that I saw, he in one of them he was going to a public event that was sort of like a Comic-Con type thing, but for a real life superhero, SheZow. And so he was taking like audience questions, and he was trying to talk in a higher pitched voice to sound like a girl, because he keeps his natural voice.
Okay.
And so the most was like him trying to affect what he thought would be how a girl would react or would talk or whatever,
Well, there's a big difference there. Did he ever try to depict a woman's reaction, or is he just trying to depict a woman's voice? Because if they show this young boy trying to act like a woman, that it'd be interesting how they went about that.
I think it was mostly the voice, from what I remember. It's been probably almost a month now. I mean, it's been a while. It was mostly the voice. One thing specifically that kind of stood out to me, like, in the articles I was reading, they sort of were trying to tout this as something that was very gender bending and challenging like gender roles and stuff like that. And, to a degree, I can see that, because, in order for this young guy to be a hero, he has to transform into a woman, whereas, stereotypically the hero that saves the day is a big, strong man,
Mm-hmm.
But there are also some aspects of it in the 2 episodes that I saw that sort of seem to kind of reinforce stereotypical gender concepts. Like, there was this one scene where he was fighting a villain, and one of the villain's powers is to like blow really strong wind at you, I guess, and it messes up SheZow's hair. Like, it gets all like bedhead looking. And we're told in that instance by another character that if SheZow's hair goes limp or gets messy, that her powers get weakened and temporarily stop. So she has to use her shellac hairspray to fix her hair so that her powers come back.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm just like really overthinking that, but that seems
No.
yeah.
No, that is pretty straightforward. The fact, because we're talking about our society, one in which women's power come from their sexual prowess and their sexual availability.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they need to seem sexually available but not be, and then you translate that into a superhero, a woman superhero, where her superpower literally comes from the ability to look sexually attractive, because that's what we're talking about.
And, you know, like I said, I only saw the first 2 episodes. For all I know, that was just a one-time throwaway thing.
Even if it
never
was
brought up again. But
still,
yeah, that kind of threw me because, like, I'm pretty sure that was in the second of the 2 15-minute episodes. And up until that point, I was just kind of watching it like, oh, okay, yeah, this is pretty innocuous. And then that one part happened, and I was like, what? Like, it just stuck out to me so much.
yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I mean, that's all I really have to say about it.
It's odd because at first it seems like it's pretty progressive in not even that they're trying to be progressive, but that children, and I can play the devil's advocate in this, that I can understand why what do they call themselves, conservative, we call them bigots, but conservative groups would be upset by this because a child would find the concept of gender being fluid to be normalized.
Yeah.
If they're watching this, it would just become a concept of, you know,
yeah,
just daily whatever. But then to do it in such a way where it strongly reinforces gender roles,
yeah,
it seems like
one step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah, it seems like it's a Trojan horse.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look how good we're doing. Your kids, you know, for you progressive parents out there, have your kids watch this, and so you unknowingly let your children watch a show where you think it's helping them realize that gender is fluid and that, you know, women can be the superhero, and then you leave the room and they're taught that women need are only powerful or useful if they're sexually attractive.
Yeah.
That is.
I also
really
thought.
bad.
I also like thinking about it. Like when the boy becomes SheZow, and his older sister was so upset because she wanted to be SheZow. She knows everything about SheZow. She like knows the history by heart. Yet her younger brother gets to be SheZow, like a female superhero. I mean, it almost, like, I know this is gonna sound like so over the top, but it seems like, you know, the man was coming in and stealing the woman's role.
No, I
to
totally
be a hero,
see that.
you know?
Yeah. Like it's
like a totally unqualified, knows nothing about it man coming in to take this woman's job, kind of thing, you know?
It's made worse by the fact that SheZow was an actual, because I didn't know she was an actual entity before, that it was a woman who got all this power and esteem and loyalty of fans, and then her role is usurped by a guy who then is less qualified than who should have rightfully a girl taken the place.
In the same episode where the messy hair lose power thing happened, at the convention where he's taking audience questions, he has to wear an earpiece and have his sister feed him answers because he doesn't know the answers and she does.
This show sounds terrible. It sounds horrible. Wow. It reminds me of Sailor Moon. Because when I
Hmm.
was watching it when I was a kid, did you ever watch Sailor Moon? You
Yeah,
haven't, huh?
yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
good.
I watched the dubbed version on Cartoon Network, but I watched it.
Okay, well, the part they didn't get to on the tub version, so I'm
Hmm.
going to be talking about. When I was a kid watching Sailor Moon, it didn't really strike me as anything too interesting. But when I looked back on Sailor Moon, once I started getting into it again as an adult, I realized that the Sailor Stars, these three Sailor Scouts from another universe that come in,
Hmm.
they're in their human form, their untransformed form, they're
Hmm.
guys, and yet when they transform into the Sailor Scouts, they become women. And it just, when I was young, I was like, okay, whatever. And I was a little bit older, I was like, oh, well, Japan. But then as an adult, it was like, oh, I want to look into, how the author developed this stuff in the mythology. And the mythology of Sailor Moon is actually pretty detailed,
Yeah.
um, interestingly enough. And it's no men are allowed to be Sailor Scouts, and in fact, Sailor Scouts aren't actually born. They come from like star seeds. So you have this mythology where the only way you can be the superhero is if you're a woman. There's no possibility of men being the superhero, because although you have Tuxedo Mask, he doesn't, besides having like some psychic ability and apparently a lot of flowers on him, he doesn't have any superpowers, and he has, his little lieutenants, but other than using magic, they're not the superheroes. They don't have power that, kind of is inherent to them.
Yeah.
So that's what I was kind of thinking when you brought this cartoon up. I thought, oh, maybe this is going to be like a westernized version of that.
Yeah, I had high hopes for this. Like, I really wanted it to like it and have it be good, but yeah.
Yeah, it sounds terrible. So what's the next thing?
um. Well, I started watching Teen Wolf, but it's only a few episodes in, so
It's 3 episodes in, I think, 3 or 4.
3 or 4, yeah.
Okay, and this is their third season, and I've watched pretty much all of them except for the last couple episodes. But I'm on Tumblr a lot, so I kind of know what's going
Yeah. And
on.
I've only seen the third season so far, so
So, I mean, first, I think we should say to the fans, because they are very, they're very loyal, and uh, they're like, they're like Bieber fans. They're like vicious
they're like
sometimes.
K-pop fangirl.
Yeah.
Suju K-pop fangirls.
Ugh. So, you know, you trigger warning for you guys. This may not end well for you.
Yeah. Okay.
So, first, what do you think of Teen Wolf?
It's fine. It's it makes me think of some like a 90s sci-fi channel original series aimed at the MTV audience. So I'm fine with it. I'm like,
except
yeah, okay.
except there's less sharks that fly.
No, that was not in the 90s. In the 90s, sci-fi movies weren't quite like that. They weren't quite creature features.
And that's why they fail.
It also sort of has a bit of the cheesiness of sort of antiquated British sci-fi.
But that's popular. That's in right now.
I know. That's why I'm fine with it. I mean, yeah, it's fine. It's
Okay,
not. I'm not
so
gonna say it's like the best show ever, but it's fine. It's enjoyable. It's like
yeah,
popcorn TV. It's popcorn TV.
definitely that. Um, so yeah, I started watching Teen Wolf from the beginning. Actually, when the very first episode debuted,
Hmm.
I was like, oh wow, I want to try that, because I like paranormal stuff. I like werewolf stories and Teen Wolf. I remember, seeing Teen Wolf when I was a kid, so I was like, ha ha ha, we got to see if they dance. So in the first season, the writing is so bad that it's completely unwatchable. It's just the shittiest writing ever. So I only
I
was
don't know.
able.
I have a high tolerance for cheesy TV writing. I might be fine with it.
It wasn't even that it was cheesy. It was just really lazy. The dialogue was really
Unnatural?
just extremely unnatural. The stories were just kind of like, it seems like the writers were like middle-aged men who came in, still kind of buzzed from their morning alcoholism, and they were like, "Oh, we gotta write a show for kids. What's some stuff that other people did in shows?" And they would just jot up a few things on a whiteboard, and they would have like their 18-year-old intern who got like a C in English come in and write up the scripts for it. That's what the first season was. Okay. So the second season they did kind of an overhaul, and it was a little bit better. You could tell that they got people to finally sit down and be like, okay, well, people are watching this show, so we actually got to do something with the story. How do we take what we've fucked up in canon and make it into kind of a story? Because a bunch of stuff changes out of nowhere, like canon. It just get retconned.
I want to know, do the werewolves ever actually go full werewolf, or do they always look mostly
No,
human with just facial hair and claws?
it's just the mostly human thing.
That's weird. Like,
I think they were trying for like, oh, you guys haven't seen this before, but yeah, we have.
yeah.
That's been done before a lot,
Hmm.
and I'm sure it was to save on money and keep the six-pack abs that they were
Yeah.
trying to get. And a
Yeah.
lot of it is like because there's this new trend of uh especially on MTV, this product placement kind of stuff, where
Yeah.
not only is there product placement, but also they make it a point to play really cool, hip, new songs as much as possible, and at the bottom they'll be like, "You can buy this song on iTunes, check it out."
They
So
started doing that back in like not MTV, but back in I want to say it was like the late '90s, early 2000s on the CW when it was still around. They used
oh
to
yeah,
at the end of the episodes they'd be like tonight's episode featured songs by, and then they would tell like who the songs that they played in the episode.
I remember that, and I remember thinking, okay, you guys are pushing it, but now it's to the point where they're like, as it's playing, it streams across the bottom. Go buy it now. So the whole series it's 90% commercial anyway, and I mean the writing.
90% commercial, 5% no 10% ads, and 5% plot. I know that's
Yeah,
over 100, but
yeah, it's over 100 because some weeks they just say we don't need that last 5%. So although the writing did get better and the story got a little better, and it still had tons of problematic things and just shitty writing and shitty character development and bunch of cliches, it has gotten better. So it is better. It's still not a great show, but it's a show to watch because nothing else is in season. But I say that as someone who's almost 30, it's not supposed to be for me.
yeah, that's true.
So, whatever. So, here's the controversy I've heard over the show. Um, I haven't seen the last couple episodes, so you tell me what's going on. So, of course, the Sterek fans, the fans that want Styles, the geeky best friend of the lead character, and Derek, the
Surly
yeah,
alpha.
I always call him the pedophile because he spent the first 2 seasons standing outside a high school and living in a van down by the river.
Well,
He-
technically, if he's into teenagers, he'd be an ephebophile.
I don't care. I call him a pedophile. And it's not that I don't like his character or the ship. I like the ship. I think the fandom's really creative, don't get me wrong, but come on. He hangs out outside high schools way too much. And he makes his whole pack off of teenagers. He's like, "Hey, want to be in my group, my pack?" No, dude, go away. What are you doing? And he'll just show up inside the school. Like sometimes, like I know this school is not in California because going to a public school in California, they're not gonna let some weird guy who stands outside the school all the time just come in.
They wouldn't even do that at a high school in Florida, and I live in a tiny little town.
Because
So
there's one episode where he shows up in the male locker room. That's not going to happen.
maybe
I don't
they
care
thought
if
he
you're a
was a student.
werewolf.
That's the only way I could see that happening, is if they thought he was a student. But he looks a little old to be a high school student, so
Well, a lot of them do.
yeah.
Okay, so the controversy is that fans have made it well known that they want Styles and Derek to get together, and the show has made great efforts to acknowledge the fact that they know that, going as far as making videos for the fans saying, "Oh, look, we're on a ship," and they're hugging on each other.
Yeah.
And they do the whole press conference things where they flirt and they talk about it or whatever. They go all out to do the fan service. So now, apparently, because one of the characters is gay. I can't remember his name. Danny. Of course his name is Danny. He sounds like he should be in Glee. So, Danny is gay. And they've just introduced some new characters in this season. And from what I've heard, apparently Danny gets together with one of these new characters on this coming episode. And I've heard that some fans are upset that they're finally going to do a gay couple, but it's not the gay couple they wanted. And other fans are saying, you need to, support the fact that they're doing gay couples, because if you don't, they're going to say, oh, look, it didn't work, and we can't do it for Sterek, and being mad about showing homosexuals on TV is homophobic. So, from watching the show, is this what's going on?
Okay, there were 2 new characters introduced. They're twins. They're alphas. And
why is everybody an alpha?
Well, they're part of a pack made up of alphas.
Here's another. Okay, we're gonna get into. We'll get into this.
Wait, the way that you join this pack made up of alphas is by killing your own pack, and then they say you can join this pack of alphas.
That's a pretty good story, I guess. But here's the thing: every character they've ever introduced, either that's a werewolf, either dies or is an alpha. Ugh, go on.
So there's these 2 twin brothers. One's name is, I think, Aiden, and the other one is Ethan. The girl, Lydia, I think is her name. She I don't know if she still is into him, but she liked Aiden. And then she found out he was an alpha werewolf, and she was shocked. So I don't know what's going on with them anymore. And then completely clueless Danny is likes Ethan, and Ethan, from what we can tell, likes Danny too. They don't really get a whole lot of screen time. It's gradually been getting a little tiny snippets more screen time as each episode goes on. But so far they really haven't had a whole lot of screen time together. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's understandable because Danny isn't a main character anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. But I know I was reading people were saying, I guess the creator, writer of the show, what's his name?
I have no idea.
I want to say it's like Scott Davis or something like that. I don't know. But
yeah, I think it's Davis.
Davis, yeah. Apparently in some interview before the series premiered, or this current season premiered, he had mentioned that we were going to be seeing more of Danny, that he was going to have a bigger role, if I'm remembering this correctly. But so far, he's had very minimal stuff happening. So some people are saying, what were you just like lying to us to sort of placate people, or is he really going to get a bigger role? It's just further into the season, or what's going to really happen? Yeah, I mean the most controversy that I've seen, but I'm sure I'm probably not just going to the right websites and blogs.
Well, all I see of it is what I see on my dash, so
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I've heard. I know that um I think they depict Styles at least as being bisexual, at least to the point where he knows he's into girls and he kind of has a he's like bi-curious, like I should say.
I don't even know if I would go far to say that. Like if he
Well, in the first
I
season,
mean, I definitely think that there is sort of groundwork being laid for the potential for them to have him be bisexual or at least bi-curious.
well,
But
they
I don't
kind of established that early on in the first two seasons,
but
like
I don't
kind of immediately he
yeah.
kind of takes to Danny and he kind of starts to have a crush on him.
But
And
I think I from what I've seen, and I have seen clips, like short snippets from older the past seasons.
Mhm.
But it seems to me as if it's still not something that the character is aware of. It sort of
Yeah.
seems as if it's something that the audience is that they're trying to make the audience be aware of, but the character is still completely oblivious to it.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I mean, well, he's not supposed to be the brightest dude either, really. Not really quite
Debatable.
self-aware. He's not really self-aware is what I'm
Okay.
going for.
Yeah.
So I can see that, but they kind of have made it kind of explicit that he's bisexual because again he did like try to get with Danny once or at least he was trying to flirt with him really heavily and
that reminds me of in one of the recent episodes where Styles was they were in the locker room and he was saying how he has to have sex right now. Somebody has to sex him. Did you see?
I saw the gift sets, and the Danny comes over and he's like, yeah, let's do it, but it's gonna be a long night because I like to cuddle.
And then Styles is like, "Oh, that's so sweet. Are you kidding?" And then he says, "Yeah, I'm kidding."
Poor dude cannot get laid. Here's something else I did hear though. That they said Styles will lose his virginity in this season. And then they start the season by him almost losing his virginity to a girl, and everyone was like, no. But here's the thing to me. If they do start this romance with Danny and this other dude, and then they do get Styles together with any dude, be it Derek or anybody else, it's gonna be. I doubt they'll do that because knowing what I know of marketing and all that, I know that they're saying to themselves, then we're gonna be known as the gay show.
Yeah.
But then again, you do have Glee and stuff, and being called the gay show has done pretty well for them.
Yeah, that's true.
So who knows? If they're willing to go there, I would say it's a possibility, but I don't think they're willing to go there.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know how long the Ethan character's even going to be around, though. So if he disappears at some point, then it might level things back out.
I think it would be interesting if they got Danny together with Styles. I know that's not what fans want, but I think
at this point it seems more reasonably plausible.
Yeah, it's a lot more realistic, and I know it sucks for the fangirls, but coming from someone who has fangirled long and hard, that would make for great fanfic, wouldn't it? Like he finally he realizes his sexuality, and then you have Derek on the sidelines. You can do the whole, oh, he does like guys. Oh, that would make for some great fanfic.
Yeah.
So
plus, it would also make for a good TV character because there are very few male bisexual TV characters.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's very true. Yeah. So, but like I said, the writers of the show are absolutely they're retarded. They really are. I think a lot of them have mental deficiencies. If you watch all the seasons together, you will go brain dead. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But that's my take on the show. But I do try to stay up on it. I try to stay up on it because I do like the fandom. I like you fangirls. I like the characters actually. I just hate the writing.
I think it's kind of funny that, like, I mean, since I've only, like I said, I've only been watching since the 3rd season, so it's only like 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah.
But I just think it's funny that practically every character knows what's going on except for Danny and that one new teacher. Like, and Styles' dad. Every other character that they've showed knows what's going on.
Yeah.
You know? It seems kind of weird to just have that tiny amount of people out of the loop. But
yeah, it was very odd because you know when you're watching one of those shows you expect, oh, this is going to be a big secret thing, and the main character, you know, the Teen Wolf dude, that, you know, the main character, he's going to have to keep this a secret from his family and his friends. But at one point they're just like, everybody knows.
Yeah, or you'd think that, you know, these people would figure something out. They'd be suspicious to some degree, you know? Whereas it just sort of seems like they're just in blissful oblivion. Except, well, the teacher, I don't know if she was in the previous seasons, I don't know, but there's a new teacher that I think is going to come to find out, because she definitely saw Styles fighting with some, not Styles, God, Sterek fighting with some werewolves, and then he came to see her later, so who knows.
Well, there's like 3 people in that town who haven't found out. It's only polite to tell them. Jeez. Okay, so now video games. Video game.
Bleep, bleep, bloop, bloop, bloop.
Yeah, kind of like that, but a little more progressive.
Pew, pew, pew.
Actually, that's not far off. So the Deadpool video game, which is called Deadpool Game.
Original.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they expected him to have a game, and they most certainly don't expect him to have another game. Who knows? So this called it Deadpool, so everyone calls it Deadpool Game. Came out. It's came out on Xbox, PlayStation, and you could get it through Stream on your PC. And you know, everyone was excited about it. Of course, Deadpool is going to be really funny, really violent. So the game it's really funny, really violent. It's Deadpool. And, you know, people were looking forward to it because Deadpool is a character who's self-aware. He knows that he is a fictional character. He knows that he's in a comic book. When he's in a cartoon, he knows that he's a comic book character in a cartoon. And, of course, in this video game, he knows he's a comic book character finally given a video game like the other comic book characters. So the game, the way they went about it is the game is about the game. And they make that very clear in the beginning, where at the beginning you're at Deadpool's house and he calls the creator of the Deadpool game and demands for a Deadpool game. And then he even calls his voice actor in this hilarious scene where this voice actor is talking to himself, where Deadpool's talking to him about making a video game. And it was kind of funny because, you know, Deadpool's like, oh, no, Nolan North, man, you need to get on this, my video game. You need to do my voice. And, of course, Nolan North then says as himself, oh, Deadpool, that sounds fantastic. And then he kind of suggested it should be like way gayer, and there should be a bunch of like really hot dudes. And then
wait, who said that?
Nolan North as Nolan North, and then Nolan North as Deadpool goes, oh yeah, no, totally, and is all for it. So the game is about it being a game, because then he makes another call, whatever. Finally, they agree to do it, and he mentions the people making the game and the studio and all that. And through the game, like when there's a bunch of explosions at some points in the games, like the graphics like go down a lot, and he's like in a side scroller, and he's like, what the hell? So he calls him up and like, you wasted our budget. And he's like, no, this video game sucks, and
Ah!
so it's very much, keep in mind, it's a game about it being a game.
Yeah.
Okay, so uh people people mostly like the game, but then you have a lot of bloggers, especially feminist bloggers, um who after the game came out said things like I saw one person say it set back feminism 20 years, which I think is extremely drastic.
I saw your reaction to that.
Yeah. And they were complaining a lot about the way women were depicted and about um behaviors that Deadpool had, and the fact was that they completely missed the point of the game, because Deadpool, knowing he's in a comic book, he gets to criticize and mock and point out absurdities of the comic book industry and culture and genre. And so that's what they did in the video game. The game is about it being a game, and it's about just, people who make video games making a video game, and it's true to Deadpool. It points out the absurdity, the ridiculousness, the problems of it. So as the game goes through, of course, you have a lot of chicks who are scantily clad. They have really big breasts, and Deadpool loves big breasts. But people who complain about that Deadpool always talks about titties kind of forget the fact that he loves big breasts, and that he loves big breasts. He likes big breasts on women and on men. Like he's motorboated more men than I can count. And of course, I and I guess to try to be respectful, he never actually gets to touch a woman. Not even in the game. If people pay attention, he doesn't actually get to touch many women at all. But dudes, he's all over. So as the video game goes on, there's more chicks with big boobs, scantily clad. Of course, they're really insipid, stupid girls, and it gets to the point where he's at this big party full of girls, and they're all, huge boobs, and they're just talking ridiculously, and they're flirting, uh, but of course they don't like him, and he's trying to flirt, and it goes on and on and on, and it comes to the point where he's sitting down with two girls, and to accomplish your achievements, to finish the achievement of that scene, you have to listen to this conversation. And in this conversation, these two girls are talking, and they're being really insipid and shallow and just terrible. And at one point, one girl goes, "Oh my God, they're really writing us to be cliches." The other girl says, "Yeah, I know, well, she actually uses the word trope. We're written to be tropes." Another girl goes, "Yeah, it's really cliche," and points out the fact that it's painful, that it's literally harmful.
Yeah.
That they're doing this, and then you can have the achievement of it. So to me, I thought, okay, that's a really good way of addressing sexism in video games. Not only, I mean, because Deadpool's kind of like an idiot. He's just going along with games. He's into it. And the player, you assume because of course they market it toward guys who they're into it and they're used to all this. And they're like, yeah, big tits. And then to finish the achievement, you actually have to listen to these women tell you that it's wrong and it's painful.
Yeah.
And it's a trope and it's cliche.
Yeah, it seems like it would be pretty obvious to anybody viewing that's supposed to be like a pro women message,
Yeah. Especially since after that you don't see many of these types of women. The women you see are, like Rogue and Psylocke. They're legitimate characters, and they're not stupid, of course. So yeah, that confused me as why people didn't get that, because it was very explicit, and I thought very well done. It's like we said earlier, it's like the Trojan horse. It's like saying, "Oh guys, play this game with a bunch of naked chicks," and yeah, well they weren't naked, but close to. And they're like, "Oh yeah, awesome chicks with tits and stuff." And then the Trojan horse comes out and says, "Yeah, this is bad. You're a pervert." That's pretty good.
Yeah,
And
it
then
seems like the perfect, perfect Trojan horse to sneak that message in.
Exactly. Because if you want to tell guys that something's sexist and bad, you shouldn't sit them down and say, "I'm about to tell you that what you like is sexist and bad." It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
But this works. And the other thing, people, were complaining just that it was just the game was just sexist. But in fact, it also plays on the cliche of uh, the damsel in distress,
Mhm.
which like every game has to have. It always has damsel in distress
Yep.
because a man always has to save a woman and she's always in danger. So they do that with Rogue. Rogue gets captured and Deadpool, in his very, breaking the fourth wall, he's like, "Oh yeah, now I got to save Rogue and then she's going to fall in love with me because that's how these stories work. That's a video game, man."
Did you ever, not to interrupt you, but did you ever hear about, this is an article I read, I don't know, I think like late last year maybe, where a father, the first game that Mario was in with the donkey throwing the barrels, I can't
Yeah.
remember what it's called. Um,
Donkey Kong.
was it Donkey Kong? I was gonna say that, but I didn't want to be wrong. Um,
Yeah.
um, so a father took that game and he like reprogrammed it to swap out Mario with the princess.
Oh yeah, I
So the
saw that.
princess was rescuing Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was great because yeah, I mean, as much as people hate the feminist frequency shows,
Yeah.
which I'm not even going to get into right now because of course they have their problems,
Yeah.
but they also
Yeah.
point out a lot of great stuff. Her series on damsels in distress, it really is a very good example of how it's kind of worse than a cliche at this point.
Yeah.
It's the cornerstone of all video games. So of course they do that in this game. So Deadpool, he goes after Rogue and he's gonna save her and they're gonna be in love and he's finally gonna get a girl to like him and she's gonna have to because that's the way these things go. And so when he finally finds her, uh, and unties her, uh, she's kind of out of it, and of course her power is she can drain your powers and energy and she takes on some of your personality after a while. So he's like, "Oh, I'm here to save you," and she drops him. She sucks all his power and she in fact actually kills him, but of course he regenerates, but she literally kills him and takes his regenerative powers. She takes his weapons and she you get to then play as her and she battles a bunch of bad guys and she's saving herself, and then Deadpool wakes up and he sees her fighting all these guys, and again because it's Deadpool and he's stupid and this is a video game, he's like, "Oh no, I have to save her despite the fact that she's killing everybody." And so he's like, "I gotta help her." So of course he like tries to crawl over and he's gonna try to help, and he ends up blowing not only himself up but his dog. He kills his dog,
Oh.
which I thought was hilarious because it was like and his dog dies. It was so bad that his dog dies, and then Rogue finishes killing everybody, and she just up and leaves him
Mhm.
dead. She doesn't give a shit. She just up and leaves. His dog comes back to life later. They don't explain how, but he does. So I thought that was great. It was. They didn't even try to be preachy because they were pretty preachy about the um, stereotype of sexy women in games, but
Yeah.
they didn't even try to be preachy about that. They just showed Rogue was fine on her own. She was too good for Deadpool. She kicked everybody's ass and she got herself out of there, and she didn't even give a, "Oh, I'm a woman, of course I can do this on my own" cliche
Yeah.
speech. So I thought the game was fantastic and really great and really feminist, and yet people just saw screenshots of chicks with big boobs and said,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's sexist."
I think it's because they're so used to, you know, sexism in video games that
Yeah,
they just don't even bother to like really look at it within context.
yeah. I heard some people complaining about the fact that at one point Deadpool kind of wakes up and Domino and I think it was Psylocke, they're like bent over in front of him, and he kind of does that thing where he closes one eye, so your fingers use your fingers, and he mimics like squeezing their asses, and he
Uh-huh.
giggles to himself, and they're like, "Oh, that's so gross." but it's like he's not supposed to be a good guy. And if you look at the whole of the video game, he never gets to, like, he tries to go in for like a grab a couple times, but the girls, like hit him or whatever, totally blow him off or kill him. And on the contrast, the men get groped a lot. He gets to grope dudes, and Death comes in.
Not that groping anybody is okay, but
well, no, but Death comes in and she's she's into him, and she literally, like, she fills up his junk at one point, and he kind of blushes and covers his mouth. So it's like this total reversal of this molestation that you'll see in video games.
Yeah.
And yet you didn't see anybody talking about that. You're like, oh, did you see where he mimicked squeezing their butts? The point was that everything was reversed.
Some people just look for the bad in everything.
But why not point out the bad, that he was groped, or that he feels comfortable enough with men that he, will touch their bodies with,
Because it doesn't fit the message that they were going for, obviously.
Oh yeah.
It's selective seeing.
Feminism.
Yeah.
It's so hard to be a perfect feminist in this sea of terrible feminists. So, unless you have something else you want to do, the squee and the WTF?
Sure, you can go first, because I'm still trying to think of a WTF.
Okay, well, my squee is, I'm hesitant to say tomorrow because I don't know how soon you're going to get this up, but on the 7th of July, Ultimate Spider-Man, the cartoon, Deadpool's going to be in it. And they've showed lots of clips on the internet to the point where I feel like I've seen the whole episode at this point, so kind of takes some of the excitement away from it. It seems kind of like they're not really going to make him very Deadpool-y. Like, he may not be disfigured, and he may not have ever gone into Weapon X, and seems like he's working for S.H.I.E.L.D., which is the good guys, and he might be a teenager in this one, which actually would be cool because you would finally have an alternate universe in which we see him as a teenager, because we always see him as an adult in every universe. Whether he be a whale, which happened, or a woman, which happened. Oh, well, no, there's one, Kid Pool, where he's a kid, but...
Well, that's not really a teenager, that's a child.
Yeah. So, I'm excited about that. That's going to be cool. My WTF...
Wait, I have to do my squee first.
Oh, I thought we did both at once. Okay, go.
Don't
squee.
we? Yeah, I don't know. We do squee, then WTF.
Okay.
I think that's how we do it, right? I don't remember.
It doesn't matter, just go.
Okay. Well, my squee, is the new, single/mini album, I guess, that was put out by, Nell, the Korean rock band.
Oh, I was just listening to them yesterday. I was like, man, I miss Nell.
I know. Well, apparently they put out a full-length album. I think it was in early 2012, like early to mid 2012. And then I didn't really hear anything about them for a while, and then in late 2012 they put out a mini album, which they've never done. So I didn't even hear anything about that. Like, I just found out a few days ago that they even did that back in December. But they put out a mini album called Holding On to Gravity. And then just recently, I want to say it was in late June, they released a second mini album called Escaping Gravity. And apparently it's going to be, there's like a trio of mini albums. So there's Holding On to Gravity, Escaping Gravity, and then a third one is yet to be named or released. But I was listening to the second one, Escaping Gravity, and it's really good. I hate to say this, I've been listening to Nell for around 10 years, since about 2003, so 10 years. And in the past few years, I don't know if it's me or it's them, but just I haven't really connected with their music like I had in the past. but this album like really caught my attention. It's like, oh wow, I really like this. So I feel like I'm like reconnecting with Nell all over again, and it's a happy time.
That's sweet.
So yeah,
Okay, you ready for WTF?
sure. Go
Okay,
ahead.
mine is that I realized that you could buy uh those cardboard cutouts of like celebrities and like cartoon figures and stuff through Amazon. I didn't know that you could get them that easily.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, you can, and they have a shitload of them.
Wow.
And so I was going through them and I was trying to find the funniest one I could, and I found it. And it's 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 a shirtless on the beach, long hair in the wind Fabio,
Oh my gosh.
and it's like fantastic. But
How
the
is
things
this
are
your WTF?
whoa 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 whoa. All it is a piece of cardboard. Okay, why should it be $15 to $20? Because obviously the things I'm going to do to that are going to damage it.
Oh my, what are you gonna do to it?
Well, I thought I would take him on a field trip into the cemetery and do
Well,
some dramatic scenes.
you
And of
could
course,
you could laminate it.
how would I do that? And that's more money.
You could decoupage it.
It's all
That
too
might protect
frustrating.
it.
I want really cheap Fabios. Send me one a month. I'll go through them. I just think it would be great. I want one to like I want to bend it at the middle so it like sits on the couch. So when people come in, I'm like, oh, sit down next to Fabio.
You can don't take him on a roller coaster. He might get hit in the face by a goose.
And then I'm out $20 again because he lost his head.
But you're up a bunch of goose gut.
Well, that's true. Of course, I can come by those on the internet pretty cheap. Your turn.
Oh gosh. Well, we joked prior to the show my WTF could be the NSA. Hello, NSA.
So is that your WTF that you don't want the NSA to listen to our podcast?
I'm just imagining what lucky NSA member has become a secret fan of us.
I'm thinking if someone's forced to listen to this, they're not a fan.
My only other option for WTF is the SheZow stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty
That whole
WTF.
thing is pretty good. Yeah.
So yeah, I think we made it. I think we made it like an hour exactly.
I think a little under an hour, but
Oh, we're doing so well. So, thanks to all the Teen Wolf fans for keeping it real. We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
bye.